about you, but when I think about the many times he's held me, when I think about the times he was holding me when I didn't want to be held, to know that he was loving me when I was strung out or when I was drunk or when I was yet searching, he loved me even then. Do you understand what it means? How great your love is? How great your love is when I didn't love myself. When I didn't even know who I was, you loved me then. How great your love is for me.
Yes, Lord.
We stand in awe of the love that he has for us, of the grace that he's given us, of the mercy that is on our lives, not because we deserve it, because that's who he is. He's just that great, that it didn't matter who you were with or who you were doing it with or what you were drinking or smoking or where you were sleeping, that he loved you then. And his promise is that he's going to love you even past this moment, past this storm, past whatever you're telling yourself in your head, that doubt, that fear. His love is so much greater than that. And if you would dare to believe in the greatness of his love, you will find the greatness inside of you. And your life will forever be changed. I am humbled to be delivering the word to you today. Please be seated, for I have to call one voice back up here and we have to go deeper in. There's no place like one church. There's so many different churches where they consider worship just a part of the program, and they rush you through it, and they don't give you a chance to just sit in the greatness of God, in the presence of God, so that we can have an encounter that changes us forever. They make the word almost unnecessary, but y'all have to still hear me. So if I see you getting up and leaving, I will call you out. I will be speaking today out of Exodus 3:11 and 12. The New King James Version reads, "But Moses said to God, 'Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?' So he said, 'I will certainly be with you, and this shall be a sign to you that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall serve God on this mountain.'" Father God, if you would open our hearts to receive this word, if you would clear our minds of any distraction, if just for a moment you would come and visit with us, God. God, we need you like never before. We need your overflow in this building, oh God. We need an encounter with you to meet us where we are, oh God, to cease the storms that are raging in our lives, oh God. Be with us as only you can be, oh God. And as for me, your vessel, oh God, I ask that you just remove any nerves. Remove anything that would dare stand in my way, because every word that proceeds from my mouth must be an arrow that pierces the heart of your people, oh God. And so I give myself away to you. I turn my voice over to you, oh God. Use me as only you can do. Amen. Well, we survived Thanksgiving. And by that, I mean that PT and I survived our very first Thanksgiving as husband and wife. He promised that he would help cook, and he halfway delivered on that promise. He peeled a few potatoes. However, we had a lovely Thanksgiving at our home, and this was my first time really getting to be around all of his family. I'm a Southern girl, so I like to deep fry and add a lot of butter and everything, and I wasn't sure that my cooking was going to be a hit, and so I was a little bit nervous going into Thanksgiving. I'd never made a turkey before. Didn't realize that they need 3 or 4 days to unthaw before you put it in the oven. And then I had to find, because they put stuff in turkeys, and if you don't go get it, it'll just be there. They don't just They don't just take everything out of turkeys, and that's kind of, someone should maybe talk about that, because if it's frozen and you can't get the stuff out of it, then you gotta put cranberry sauce over the stuff and make it look right. So I was a little bit nervous this Thanksgiving. I wasn't really sure what to expect, and so we had all the family came over, and it was just very nice. His family is very nice and polite and very kind, and they're interacting with the children. It's very lovely. So PT's coming to Texas for Christmas. That's our trade-off. And here's the thing about my family. Quiet is like not our thing. Quiet is not our thing. I'm a little bit nervous because PT is going to be in our annual charades game on Christmas Eve. And this is the one time where we just trust that everyone knows we're saved going into it. Because if you don't know, things could get a little tricky halfway through the game. We split sides, there's the guys on one side and the girls on the other side. And so though I do love your pastor, on Christmas Eve, I will show him no mercy. And I just wanted him to be prepared for that because my family is a little bit animated. And so when it comes to acting things out, it can be a little embarrassing. Because they put all kinds of things in the charade, all kinds of things you would never expect Bishop Jakes to be acting out. Trust me, it's very interesting. And so he's going to come over, and he's going to see, though, I have one brother that no matter how many times we do this, and we've played for years and years now, he always says he doesn't want to play. And I mean, I kind of get it, because you know how people talk a little trash while they play games. It makes the game more lively. Then there's always that one person, though, that talks a little too much. That goes a little too far with the trash talk, and they start bringing up things that still hurt, like in the 5th grade when you lost. When you lost the spelling bee in the 5th grade, and it's going to be just and then it gets a little sensitive. And so there's one brother that he just refuses to play, which would be fine, except for when it's time to act things out and start guessing. He starts guessing with the other people, and it's like, if you said you wasn't going to play, don't guess. And so I don't know, I'm a little bit nervous about it because, see, the thing is, he's, my brother, but he would be on the guys' team if he was playing, and so it kind of helps us depending on who he's guessing for. But the reality is he needs to pick a side or he needs to keep score. And if he's watching, you need to pick a side or you need to keep score next year. And so the reason why I brought that up, though, is because we find Moses at such a peculiar place in this text because he is battling with the fact that he is both Egyptian and Hebrew. For those of you who know that when he was a baby, he was placed on the river and Pharaoh's sister found him. He, a Hebrew baby, placed on the river because at the time they were trying to really downsize the population of Hebrews. And so if you were a male born in the Hebrews, they were trying to kill you. And so his mother was trying to protect him. She places him on the river. And who else finds him but the very person who said that he could no longer live, his sister. And so he's raised in the palace with Pharaoh's sister as an Egyptian, but his heritage is Hebrew. I don't know if any of you all have two sides of yourself. One side that is Egyptian and another side Hebrew. One side that's righteous, another that's ratchet. If we started pulling Facebook from college days, I bet I could get some truth in here. One side that's Hollywood and another side that's just Dallas, Texas. We all have these battles within ourselves. These two people. If you haven't discovered that you're an oxymoron, I don't think you've really delved into yourself. Because there are some things that you have arguments in your own head, or let me testify, I have arguments with myself, no judgment. As in, like, there's one side of me that's like, no, you really do need to apologize. And there's another side that's like, This battle that we have within ourselves, Moses had as well. He was battling with the fact that for 40 years he'd been raised Egyptian. However, one day he's walking around the palace and he sees an Egyptian beating a Hebrew. And that side of him that is Hebrew rises up and kills the Egyptian. He makes sure no one is looking, but he kills him. See, there's one thing to be at battle within yourself, but there's another to see that battle in front of you. Sometimes the friends that get on our nerves the most are the ones that remind us of ourselves. The ones we just want to snap out of it and, oh my gosh, if you could just do better, if you could just do this. The only reason why we're so passionate about them is because we understand what it's like to be in that very battle. To have a friend that won't leave this toxic relationship while you're in a toxic relationship yourself, and you're giving her the very coaching that you need yourself. The very ministry that could set you free, you give to someone else. And so Moses sees this battle in front of him between this Egyptian and the Hebrew. And though he was trying to pretend that he was Egyptian and he was fine living in the palace, he couldn't help but have that other side of him rise up. Have you ever had that other side of you rise up in like the most inopportune moments? Like you'll have it all together, you'll be pretending just fine, have that other side of you completely tamed, and then they turn on your song and you remember where you were when the song came out. Or you're having a conversation with someone and they start to pick at a wound that hasn't yet been healed yet. That you were doing just fine as long as you didn't have to talk about the fact that you don't know who your daddy is. That you were pretending and I got the degree and I got the job and I'm living just fine as long as you don't bring up the fact that there's something that happened to me in college that I'd rather you not know about, and seeing it in you reminds me of what's happening inside of me. Yeah, we both have these Egyptian and Hebrew sides of ourselves. But the moment we have something reveal our truth, instead of confronting it, we do like Moses did. We kill it, and then we go back in the palace like it never happened. Yeah, I'm not ready to deal with that yet, so let me go back to pretending to have it all together. I was really close to having everyone fooled, and I let that one thing slip out, so let me just go back like it never happened before. And so Moses goes back into the palace, and he's walking around again the next day, pretending as if nothing happened, and this time he sees two Hebrews fighting. And he tells them, hey, break it up. We don't play that around here. This is expensive. This stuff is expensive. You break something over here, you buy it, okay? And so he breaks up the fight between the Hebrews, and they was like, oh, so why? If we don't stop, you gonna kill us too? What do you do when someone finds out what you buried? When you can't even afford to pretend anymore because somebody knows. So Moses gets afraid that now the Hebrews know it, and Pharaoh's probably going to find out. And so I don't really have anywhere to go. Has life ever left you with nowhere to go? No one to turn to. No one to talk to. And you have this battle inside of yourself. He no longer has to pretend because now he's going to run away from the problems. He decides to go on the run, and B and J were not available to go with him. This is his first tour on the run. Starring Moses. Get out of Egypt. And so Moses is on the run. He has decided in many ways to create a ceasefire on the battle that's going on within himself. Because now he no longer has to pretend. That's the beauty of being isolated, is that you no longer have to worry about fitting in on either side. I may not know whether I'm fully Egyptian or fully Hebrew, but at least I don't have to be anything but me. We find these pockets in our lives, these peoples and circles and communities in which we don't have to be anything other than confused. When everyone else expects us to have it all together and to know all of the answers and know who you are and love who you are, we find these places where it's okay to not exactly be sure. And so for Moses, this place was called Midian. He escapes to Midian and he finds a well and he sits. How many of you have found a well? May have not been the cleanest water, may have not been the best place for you to be, but at least you weren't at battle anymore. He finds a well and he sits down. He has no idea that while he's sitting at the well, God is on the other side, layers beneath the surface, preparing him for a sea. It would have made no sense to him because all he wanted was a well. Sometimes all we want is just a break from it all. Don't pull me any further than this. If I could just establish myself and not live paycheck to paycheck, I won't dream anymore. I won't ask for anything else. I just want to survive, nothing else. Have you ever just been desperate to survive? To just have peace? I may not be in the beauty of a palace anymore. I may not have my family around me anymore, but at least I have peace. I know with certainty that for Los Angeles, many people come to this city not just because they're pursuing their dreams, but because they needed to be somewhere where it was okay to just be who you are, no matter how weird or crazy or misunderstood that may be where you are from. Here is fine. I was holding hands with my son going in the institution. He's 12 now. He's very cool, you know. And so in Dallas, I wasn't allowed to hold his hand. And so I was like, I can hold your hand. In LA, he was like, it's a lot weirder stuff in LA, Mom. In the short time that we've been here, he's already learned to understand that this is a city where you can just be okay with whoever it is you are. But the other reality is that much like here and other places, that though you may be okay being who you are here, you have to be very careful what you call a well in Los Angeles. That everything that is accessible to you isn't always nourishment. Everything that you have access to doesn't necessarily give you life. As a matter of factly, some of it dares to take life out of you. And because we are so desperate for a place to just be understood, we end up settling for all different types of toxins and all different types of things that ultimately abuse us, all because we were desperate for a well. Moses had no idea that he had stumbled upon a well that would lead him one step closer to his destiny, because it is at that well where he meets Zipporah and her sisters. And while he is with Zipporah and her sisters, the shepherds start trying to get them to move away from the well, and he stands up for them and he helps them to get water for themselves and for their cattle. And so they go back and they tell their father, you know, we came back. And he's like, you're back much quicker than I thought you would be. And they go, yeah, well, because someone helped us while we were away. And he goes, well, why you didn't bring them home? Because back then, if somebody was willing to help you, shoot, here, if someone's willing to help you, is somebody you try to keep with you. Someone willing to help you in spite of themselves. Someone who's willing to lay down the fact that they are bleeding themselves, hurting themselves, and get up on a Sunday and lead worship. That somehow, in spite of all that you've gone through this week, you came in and gave someone a hug and a smile when you have a million reasons to cry. When is the last time you stopped being at battle within yourself and tried to help defend someone else? When you didn't wait until you felt like it to help somebody. When I get myself together, when I start feeling better, that's when I'll come and I'll serve at the church. And that's when I'll come and be nice to people. And that's when I'll apologize. And that's when I'll forgive. And that's when when I feel like it. What if you don't have the luxury of waiting until you feel like it? That emotions are fleeting and they are up and down, but what is right and what is true will remain the same. That is the difficulty of being at battle within yourself, is that you distract yourself from what's going on around you and how you could be used to be the answer to the many problems that plague this world. Because you are so caught up in what you feel that you don't feel anything else. And you can come into an atmosphere of worship and still not be affected because you haven't put a ceasefire within you long enough to hear from God. They say, be still and know. Sometimes we have to sit in the stillness of God to hear from him. It's not a loud, booming voice. When I was a kid, they said, the Lord told me, and I was waiting for God to speak to me, and he never cut into my soaps. He never stopped Grey's Anatomy. He never stopped Scandal to speak to me. And I was thinking, if he really wants my attention, he know how to holler at your girl. And the reality is, though, if you really want his attention, are you willing to stop what you're doing long enough to hear from him? So though Moses was out of his comfort zone, it was in the discomfort of Midian that he began to take steps to have an encounter with God. And so Moses marries Zipporah, and the plan changes. No longer am I going to live in the castle with Pharaoh, in the palace with Pharaoh. No longer am I going to be surrounded by Hebrews. I'm going to live in Midian. I'm going to have a wife and a baby, and I'm going to herd the flock. And that's going to be who Moses is. Now, have you ever had to redefine yourself after life got finished with you? Oh, no, I don't want that dream anymore because, that dream cost too much, or I messed up, or I failed, or I didn't get the first audition, and so I don't want to try anymore. I'm just going to change the dream altogether. And I'm going to pretend to be okay with that because since I've already spent a lifetime of pretending, this will be very easy. I think some of us are greater actors than we care to admit. And so Moses has a plan, but he has no purpose. He has a plan. I'm going to marry her. I'm going to have a baby. I'm going to herd the flock. I don't know why I'm here yet, but at least I have a plan. And maybe purpose isn't for me. Maybe purpose is for the people who didn't kill an Egyptian and bury it. Maybe the purpose is for the good people who didn't mess up. But what if I'm here to tell you that purpose is really for the courageous? That there is no criteria other than your yes. That in spite of whatever trail of dead bodies and broken hearts and mistakes that lie behind you, that the future ahead of you could still be very bright if you could stop looking at who you used to be long enough to understand that God needed both the Egyptian and the Hebrew side of you. To call you into who he needed you to be. And so it is on the mountain where Moses is that he has an encounter with God with the burning bush. The bush was burning but was not consumed. And so, you see a burning bush and then hear someone talking to you. I don't know. might be a little bit difficult to give it all of your attention. And then the burning bush tells you that this is God, and God has a plan for you, and the plan entails that you go back to the very place you were running from. He tells him, I have chosen you to set the Israelites free. And Moses says, no, you've got the wrong number. How could it even be possible that you could use me? I don't even know who I am. They don't even accept me. It's not even possible that I could be used to affect change there. I'm running from that place. The days, the months, the years is all evidence that God is a God of cycles. So if you think you're running from something, I'm here to tell you, you're going to run right into it. Over and over again until you do what God has called you to do in that place. PT and I have different backgrounds, of course, but I was raised in church, and some of you all know that I wasn't necessarily anticipating, though I love you all dearly, to be a first lady. Because here's the thing, and so I ran, real hard, y'all. Real hard. And then when I decided to not run, I thought I would just take baby steps, just take this thing step by step. The first person I met after I had finished running and really turned my life over to God was a pastor. And I was like, seriously? After all of this running you did from who you were, a part of you that you cannot detach yourself from. See, that's the problem. You can't run from yourself. Even the parts of you that you can't really bear to look at, it's still a part of who you are. Such an intricate part that God, as gracious as He is willing to use even that. Even the part of you dislike. Even the part of you don't fully understand. Even the battle that you wage inside of yourself, He can use for His glory. That you don't have to pick a side. You don't have to be Egyptian and you don't have to be Hebrew. You just have to rest in who you are. That God did not make any mistakes, as confused as you may be, that He's called you to be who you are for a reason. That doesn't mean that whatever you're doing, you get to just do and be free, but it does mean that until you turn your life over to Him, and not to people, and not to opinions, and not to things that make you feel better about your insecurities, but to Him, and you say, listen, this is who I think I am, but I am now open to your hand, and your definition, and your structure of whoever you've called me to be. And I realize that in order to do that, I'm going to have to go running from this idea that I have to be Egyptian or Hebrew. He didn't have an encounter with God in the palace, surrounded by riches. So if you think that there's going to be a paycheck that's going to bring you closer to God, you're going to be broker than you are right now. Nor did He find him amongst the Hebrews. He found him when he was pulled out from everything he thought he knew into a place where all he had was a well and himself and his willingness to answer God when He called him. When I first started studying for this message, I wanted to call it the beauty of a scab. We spend so much time, celebrating our scars and our survival or tending to our wounds. But who recognizes the beauty of a scab? That you may not be exactly healed. You may not be exactly where you're supposed to be, but there is a covering. And because there is a covering of a scab, there's healing taking place. Layers beneath you. And who's to say what this wound will turn to? Will it leave a scar? Or will it be like it never happened? We won't know unless we finish this process. And we can never know if we insist on picking at our scabs. If all we desire is to pick at the parts of ourselves until we bleed over and over again, if we only insist on being the victims, we can never understand how he could use that for his victory. To turn your life over to him. He tells Moses when he says, how will I go into the city? How could you use me? And he said, I will certainly be with you. When is the last time you exchanged people certainly for God certainly? Don't let the fact that somebody let you down think that God is going to let you down. His certainly has more weight than my certainly will ever have. I have people who tell me, I want to be your friend. I want to be in your life, and I'll be there. I'll certainly be there when you need me. And you call somebody in the middle of the night, and they certainly send you the voicemail. Or it seemed like you're going to need a meal or somebody to help you, and they certainly don't have it for you this week. Man certainly doesn't change God certainly. And if we continue to place all of our faith in the certainly of a man or a woman or a friendship, then we're going to miss the beauty of having a relationship with God. To understand that he is just who he is because that's who he is. His great love for us, that's just how he rolls. It doesn't change no matter how many times we cheat on him. No matter how many times we are unfaithful, that he is certainly with us. And he tells Moses, if you don't believe me, let's go. Do as I told you, and I will certainly be with you. And to prove to you that I was with you, you will come back, and the children of Israel will be with you on this very mountain I will prove to you, the very mountain where you questioned me. The very place in your life where you felt unworthy, the very place in your life where things weren't adding up, the very place in your life that you were running from your whole life, I'm going to bring you back to that place. And when you come back here, you're going to come back with a victory in the very place where you questioned me. I don't know what your questions are. I don't know where your insecurities lie. But I can make you this promise, and I can make you this promise because I am standing in this promise. He will certainly be with you. He will certainly bring you back to the very place that you were running from and give you a microphone and give you an opportunity to share your voice, to let somebody else know that he is with us, even when we aren't with ourselves. That he believes in us even when we are struggling to believe in ourselves. We are the evidence of God. We come into this place not just so that we can have an encounter with him, but because someone needs to know that the very girl who was crying all last Sunday came in with a smile next Sunday, and it made no sense, but God must have done it. We have an opportunity when we come into this place that in the world where sometimes all that matters is our talent and what we can do for people and how well we can sing and how well we dress and whether or not our brows were done right, that out in that world where all of these frivolous things amount to whether or not you're worthy, that you can come into this place and all we want to know is that you understand what it's like to be in desperate need of a touch from God. That he has heard you on the mountaintop. That you were standing here in a place of wondering just months ago, and that somehow before you even knew it, that because you took one step by step in the Midian, that some type of way things turned around. I don't know about you, but I want to be the evidence of God. I want to be proof that you need all of the good and bad things that happen to you. Both the heartbreak and the injuries and the wounds to really have the healing. Then nobody's looking for your highlight reel. We're not looking for your highlight reel. We see enough of that on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else where you just fine. Or worse, when someone only shows you their low light reel. Girl, do you ever have a good day? If there's any place where you can be authentic and show both the highs and the lows, certainly it should be in this place. And it's not to boast or brag about who you are, but rather to give God the glory for it all. That his love was great even when we didn't deserve it. That we can become great because of his love in spite of what we've gone through. That we could be a stuttering Moses and be called to lead a people. That we could take care of ourselves. Some of us may not be called to lead thousands. Some of us may not be the voice of a nation. But if we could just manage to get control of the voices in our head, that would be an accomplishment. I'm here because I'm requesting you to have a ceasefire on your soul. To stop picking at your scab long enough for God to heal you. For you to understand that he can't do the surgery that he needs to do in your life with your hands in the way. If you really want the healing, if you really want to be delivered, you're going to have to submit to a covering that allows you the process of healing. We're not asking you at one to pick a side. We're not asking you to have it all together. We're asking you to let us help you recognize that you can come out of this thing. To recognize that God can use all of your confusion even for his glory. When we pray and we said, go before us and make the crooked path straight, that means because our minds can create a crooked path. And we need you to go before us, because if you leave this up to us, we will mess it up. It won't even be our fault like all the way, but we will jack it up. We want to be led by God in such a way that we don't mind not having the answers. That we don't have to pretend or put on a mask because that's not really for us anymore. That we're okay being perfectly imperfect because we truly believe that his strength will be made perfect within us. I believe in the possibilities of growth, and I know that it exists in a place like One Church, where you have the beauty of a covering that when we lock hands in prayer and we lock hands and invite God into this place, that it provides for us a level of covering that says, God, we're opening our hearts and souls to you so that you can have your way. That we're willing to give our lives, to give our pride and our egos over to God, so that he can make a change in our lives, so that you could call us back to the place where we came from and we can go and not be afraid. Because there's something about being traumatized that makes you feel like you couldn't survive it again. But the reality is that you didn't survive it on your own the first time. And if the trauma occurs, you won't survive it again on your own. So maybe we should stop counting on ourselves so much and trust that, like God told Moses, that he will certainly be with us and that he will bring us back to the very place where we once hurt, and this time with victory. Would you stand with me, please? I believe that there are people in this room who understand what it's like to be at battle within themselves. I believe that there are people in this room who have picked at their scabs for long enough. We want to call a ceasefire down at this altar. We want to say, devil, we no longer give you the power to distract us with ourselves. Yeah. We want to believe in ourselves again. We want to believe that we're more than just Egyptian or Hebrew, that we're some beautiful combination of it all. And if there's any way that you can use us, if there's any way that you can heal us, if there's any way that you can use whoever we are, we're going to turn our lives over to you. If you've been at battle within yourself, if you've been picking at your scab, if you've been undoing that great work that God is doing in your life, we want to call you down to the altar. We want to offer you an opportunity to be amongst other people who understand what it's like to be wounded. Don't be fooled into believing that the people who are still in the pews don't understand you, because they've had their own scabs and their own scars and their own wounds. None of us get it completely right. None of us get it completely right. But it is our willingness to try again. It is our willingness to trust the grace that is on our lives, to trust that because I survived and because I made it, that you can too. This is so much bigger than you. This is about Him. This is about Him. That is what church is. It took me so long to understand that church is a room of not just believers, it's a room of evidence. This is evidence that we have been bruised but not broken. That we have stood up to life and have gotten the glory because we let God fight our battles for us. This is anointing. This is covering. This is the power of God at effect in our lives. This is His strength made perfect in our weakness. This is the moment He's been waiting for your whole life. For you to stop trying to fix yourself long enough to let Him have control. For you to stop pretending to have all of the answers long enough to be okay with where you are, so that He can lead you where you need to go. This is the moment of surrender. It's going to change your life. I am the first lady of evidence that He can do exceedingly, abundantly, above all that you may ask or think. And I am honored to serve you. And I am honored to invite you to this place of surrender over and over again. To offer you an encounter through worship, an encounter through word that will challenge you to continue in spite of your pain. This isn't a one-time thing. It's not going to be easy from here. But you're going to come back in this room and you're going to know that it may not be easy, but it's worth it. And that we all put on our armor and we stand up to life and we win. We win. We win or we learn. We win or we learn. That is the One Church way. Pastor.